Hello again, it's me and I'm back in front of the camera as you can see. I've got a slightly odd problem that my video seems to be switching it left to right, so it's a bit of a problem at the moment. I can't work out what's going wrong, but I do have some news. As I said, I'd do an update. I'm just fiddling off camera for the moment. I've managed to hear back from the doctor. I've had to have a second opinion because my own doctor refused to do a bridging prescription, which is, well, not really in line with NHS England's policy. But the good news is that I'm now on these things. Cyproterone acetate, which is the anti-androgen, that reduces your testosterone. Its main job is to block testosterone from actually activating any of the cell sites that receive testosterone. And the little packet is Sandrina gel, which is the estrogen 17B. It's a very small amount in actual fact, 1 milligram. And that just gets rubbed onto your skin, leg or on your belly. So it's good news for me. It means I can actually move forward. It's been very difficult for me because I've been waiting to see somebody and not getting anywhere. And that can be extremely frustrating. And I know all about frustrating because, of course, I have a wheelchair. And when you can't do things because of the wheelchair, that gets you frustrated. But now I feel a lot better that I've got my bridging prescription because I can now move on with the medication that I actually need to move on. And I must remember, look at the camera and not at the screen. I realise I'm doing that again. Anyway, that's my basic update. I've also made a few notes. I've got a little bit of paper on the side because there's a few other things. Most people who do these videos will tell you the same things as I'm going to tell you. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. There are risks, as always, with any medical intervention. Certainly with the medication I've got, they're quite severe, and the severest one can actually be death. It's as simple as that. You can die. The main reason for the problems is actually down to the estrogen, which can thicken the blood, causing blood clots, DVT, deep vein thrombosis. It can lead to strokes, especially if a blood clot gets up here. If a blood clot gets into your heart or into the main arteries in the heart, well, your heart's going to stop beating, so that's heart attack and quite possibly death. You get blood clots into your lungs, not very pleasant. The risks are there. They're not necessarily any higher than anybody else, but you've got a risk of maybe about 2% higher than a natural born biological female. Your danger period is the first 3 months, and after that it's about 2 years. So in other words, if you've not really had any problems after 3 months, you're unlikely to have problems, but you still need to be eagle-eyed for at least another 2 years. If you don't have any problems within 2 years of starting medication, you should be free. There are a few other possibilities for side effects. The obvious one with anti-androgens is stopping the testosterone production, and that leads to infertility. That's quite obvious. It's one of those things we have to be aware of. It can also cause problems with your stomach if you're a little bit allergic to the medication. That can have some problems, but if you do have problems with one anti-androgen, you can always swap to another. Other things you'll notice with going on to any form of medication, in this case hormone therapy, of course, is weight loss or weight gain. Well, you get the weight gain up the top, which is what you're looking for, and you lose a bit of weight around your middle, so it balances out. But some people do have problems with excessive weight gain or excessive weight loss. That usually settles down. As it is, I'm trying to lose weight, so with any luck, it won't be a severe problem for me. I've already lost 3 stone since coming out, and I've got another 2 stone and a little bit to go, so I'm over halfway, which is good news. I suppose at the end of the day, I should also give some basic advice to anybody else who may be watching this video for the simple reason they are in the same position I've been in, wondering what to do, whether to come out, where to go to get help. Many videos on YouTube will actually give you some of the information you need. I think I've said before, you need to see your doctor and have a word with the doctor. But before you get to that stage, just sit down, think clearly, ask yourself some very stupid, deep questions. Are you really sure? Is this what you believe you are? If you believe that you are in the wrong body, and you've had that for a very long time, chances are you're transgender, or in this case, gender dysphoric. But I'm not a doctor, so I can't give you any really good advice other than to just take the time to actually think clearly. And now I can't read my own handwriting, which is typical, isn't it? Right, I've reminded myself where I am. I've got myself back under control. Unfortunately, I get a bit of a speech impediment every so often if I get nervous and my speech goes all over the place. Nothing unusual for me, it's just one of those things. There was something else I wanted to speak about. It's probably a little bit of a tricky one to speak about, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little slow, hesitant, or around the circles with it. One of the biggest problems with coming out, besides not really having much support in some cases, I'm lucky I've got support from my family and from those few friends I do have. But some people don't get much support. It's very important if you are going to come out to have support. There are lots of trans support groups online, whether it be Facebook or other places. And once you start to get to know the community, you'll find that there are a lot of people out there that will help. Not all of it is going to be in the same room type of help with somebody popping around to see how you are. Some of it will be just on a keyboard to talk to somebody or maybe on the phone. But it's very important that you make friends in the trans community. It's one of the more important things I think you can do to help yourself. They're normally very helpful. They're normally quite willing to talk to you, give you some advice. Sometimes it's not the advice you want to hear, but it is the advice you need to hear, and there's a difference between wanting and needing. I suppose my final piece of advice is to do with clothing and makeup. Don't worry about making a mess of your makeup. I'm still making a mess of my makeup. I still have panda eyes. That takes time. I didn't have the time as a child to prat around and play with makeup, so I'm learning now. So if you make a mess of your makeup, don't worry about it. If you actually look at the ladies outside walking down the street, you'll find that most of them have also made a mess of their makeup. Most ladies don't get a straight line with eyeliner and things like that. Yes, the professionals can, and those who do it all the time can, but unfortunately my hands tend to shake when I'm trying to get my makeup on, so mine tend to be a bit uncertain and a bit dotty at times. Just don't worry about it. Nobody's going to look at you that closely. If they are looking at you that closely, it probably means that they're in your face, so they're probably a partner. If you have a partner or a good sister, a good friend who can help, get them involved, get them to teach you and show you how to do things and correct mistakes. Simple answer to that. Clothing and shoes, you're going to find out why ladies have a lot of clothes and a lot of shoes. But start off with at least 3 to 4 changes of clothing before you go outside. It will help if you've got a couple of changes. I found the easiest way of buying clothes is to go through sales. It's the cheapest way as well. Depending on whether you're able to stand or whether you're sat, in other words, in my case in a wheelchair, if you're going to be sat down a lot, then you probably need longer dresses, longer skirts. You don't obviously have to wear dresses or skirts. Some ladies wear trousers. I personally can't stand trousers. They are, I suppose the best word is an anathema to me. They're something I hate with a passion. I have always hated them. So I prefer dresses and skirts. Unless it's your thing, don't dress like a slut or a tart, because it's not going to do you any good. Dress sensible. Colours are up to you, obviously, but if you can sort of keep things reasonably coordinated and go together, you should be okay. Again, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that will give you some advice, and talking to trans community will also give you some advice. Shoes, ladies tend to be quite colourful with their shoes. Every lady needs a couple of pairs of black. Every lady has at least a pair of white, and then several different colours of shoes for different occasions. So it won't matter really what colour shoes you're wearing. I can give you one piece of advice. I think I've done it before, which is think about dyeing your hair if you're in the early stages, because it will change what you look like. You may find it doesn't, I don't know, but I certainly found it helped me a lot. My confidence is much higher because my hair is dyed, so it just helps me pass slightly better. I'm sorry, I really hate the word passing. I think it gives the wrong impression. I have a trans friend who actually uses the word blend or blending, as in you are blending in well. Personally, I just think that's a much better phrase. It's a lot less aggravating. I don't know, I'm not too sure what the word is. I find passing is an offensive term. It's almost like pretending to be. Blending, you are, well, you're blending in. It's a much softer term, but maybe it's just me. But don't worry if you make mistakes with your clothing and with your shoes. Don't worry if your handbag doesn't match. Don't worry if somebody has a go at you in the street. They do with me. I've had quite a few bad experiences where I live because people where I live tend to be Neanderthals. I won't say too much other than I've already been stoned by a group of kids who thought I was disgusting. You are going to get that, and you are going to need to be strong. Not an easy thing to do. There's no real advice I can give you to deal with bullies other than to just ignore it. If you have a go back at them, if you shout at them, they're only going to get worse. Much better to get away from them, to get out of the situation. I suppose the only other piece of advice I can really give you, if you're at the start of your journey the same as me, if you're a bit nervous about going out the first time, then go out with friends. Ask some friends to come over and take you out. Maybe some friends in the trans community. Anything at all that will just help you feel safer and, you know, a little more comfortable. You'll find though, once you get used to going outside, it's actually quite easy. If you are genuinely trans, you'll find it easier to go out dressed as a woman, living as a woman, than you would ever feel when you were living as a man. Me personally, I'm happier, healthier, and I feel a damn sight better than I've ever done. I used to worry about going out as a bloke. I don't worry about going out as a woman. That might sound a bit strange, but it's true. Right, I've got to do a bit of editing, so I'll stop here and see what happens with the editing. This could go wrong. I will probably put another update in a month or two's time. I'm not going to see any changes as such with the hormone therapy for at least 3 to 4 months. It's probably going to be nearer 6 to 9 months before any real changes are made. As it stands, this camera on the webcam on the computer is not very good, so any visual changes will not be seen. But I must, I suppose, get myself a better webcam.